People confuse goals with purpose. It happens all the time. So sometimes we have goals that drive us, and they're exciting. But then what? And you see this very often with high achievers. So let's take extreme examples, right? Olympic athletes. It's just an extreme example. They're very goal-oriented, and they've confused their goal with their purpose. My purpose is to win the Olympics. I love how they say that. I'm going to win the Olympics. Nobody wins the Olympics. That actually is there's no medal for winning the Olympics, right? But that's how they all talk. I'm going to win the Olympics, right? And all of their lives are completely architected around this goal. All of their relationships, are you useful? All of their sacrifices, I missed Thanksgiving, I missed birthdays, I missed all of these things because I'm disciplined. And let's say they achieve it. Let's give them the success. They win a gold medal in the Olympics. And now they're too old to compete. Their bodies are broken, whatever it is. Now what? Now what? And what you find, like Andre Agassi becomes the most storied tennis player in all time. What happens right after he retires? Depression. Michael Phelps becomes the most medaled Olympian in history. What happens right after he retires? Depression. You know, my friend who her entire goal of her entire life from Fargo, North Dakota was to be on Broadway and become a New York City Rockette. She achieved both those things. She became a New York City Rockette and she became a performer on Broadway. What happened right afterwards when she retired? Depression. We've confused a goal with purpose. A goal is one of the ways, even if it's extreme, one of the ways in which we are looking to advance our purpose, but a purpose is immutable. A purpose does not change. Your purpose is fully formed by the time you're in your mid to late teens. Who you are is fully formed by the time you're in your mid to late teens, and the rest of your life is looking for opportunities to bring that cause to life. Right? Very common, and particularly in high achievers. And they confuse their jobs with their purpose, with their identity, right? So you see these high flyers who literally are afraid of not working because who am I if I'm not doing this thing? And they've forgotten that the thing you're doing is just one of the ways you can bring your purpose to life. So my why, my purpose is not to write books. My why is not to achieve some goal, some TED Talk over which I have no control. My why is to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. That's why I get out of bed in the morning. That is permanent for the rest of my life till the day I die. Now, what are the opportunities that I can do that? Some of them big, some of them small, some of them risky, some of them not. And I can have goals that motivate me in the middle of that. But if I pick a goal that's just for the money or just for the accomplishment or whatever, odds are the stress is going to be far greater than the reward because it doesn't contribute to my purpose. And that's raises the second question, which is, how do I know when to quit? And some people have this false belief that grit is the thing that makes you, and you never quit. That's stupid. It is just as stupid as to say you always quit whenever it gets difficult. Both are the wrong mentality. My test is very simple. Does the sacrifice feel worth it? If the sacrifice feels worth it, because there's some higher goal you're trying to achieve, some higher purpose, not even goal, a higher purpose you're trying to achieve, then you better show up the grit and you keep going. But if it just doesn't feel worth it anymore, it doesn't feel like I'm contributing to something bigger than myself, then it's time to move on. I was writing a book called Leaders Eat Last. It's the single most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. It was impossible to organize. Each chapter could have been its own book. It was ridiculous. The amount of content that I was, like, start with why was something like, I can't remember, like 68,000 words or something. When I was writing Leaders Eat Last, I wrote 150,000 words and I was just getting started. I called up the publisher. I said, I think this needs to be multi-volumes. Like it was impossible. And it got to the point where I couldn't do it. It just, I couldn't figure it out. And so it was about 8 o'clock at night and I decided I was done. I couldn't do it. I was going to quit. And I literally went for a long walk and planned my exit, planned quitting. I went through the checklist of the things that I'm going to have to do over the next few days in order to unwind from this project. I'm going to have to call my publisher and say, I can't do it. I'm technically in breach of contract, which means I'm going to have to return the advance. I'm going to have to make a public statement. I've been telling everybody I'm writing a new book, and I'm going to have to say it's not coming. So I'll be publicly humiliated for a short period of time. But people are like, what do you mean? You're like, we've been looking forward to it. Why can't you do it, right? So I'm going to be publicly humiliated. I'm going to have to tell my friends I can't do it. So I'm going to be privately humiliated. I'm going to hate myself for a while. I'm going to regret it, and I'll get over it. I literally went through the checklist of all the things I'm going to have to do and prepare myself for. Not sure why I did, but I picked up the phone and called a friend of mine who at the time was in the Air Force Special Forces. I don't even think I said hello. He picked up the phone and I said, what do you do when you can't complete the mission? And as is his nature, he started telling me a story. He was in Afghanistan and he was ordered to go on a mission. He's a helicopter pilot, where all of the intelligence said that they were going to get shot down. And this wasn't like a kill Hitler mission where you're all going to die, but you'll kill Hitler. This is like you're all going to die and the mission will fail. Like it was just a pointless suicide mission, right? All the intel was compelling. And so he and his wingman, they're prepping their helicopter, getting ready to go on this ridiculous, stupid mission. And his wingman turns to him and says, what do we do? We've got wives, we got kids. This is literally a suicide mission. Like, do we refuse to go? What do we do? And my friend said to his wingman, no, this is what we signed up for. We go. And what he was saying is, we go together. Obviously, cooler heads prevailed and the mission was scrubbed. And so he says to me, is this book more or less powerful than Start With Why? I said, the research that I'm doing has impacted me more than Start With Why. He goes, okay, I'm going to tell you a funny little story. Because before I met you, I became disillusioned with the Air Force. I didn't want to be in it anymore and I was going to leave. And I found this kooky little book called Start With Why, and it completely inspired me. It made me a better leader, and I stayed in the Air Force, and I am so glad I did because I'm better than I was before. And if you're telling me that this book is more powerful than the first one, he goes, you have to finish it. He goes, this is what you signed up for. You do it. And what he was saying is, and I will be here with you. He made me feel not alone, but he also reminded me that it wasn't about the book. The book was contributing to something even bigger than myself, which is I agreed that I would commit myself to a life where I would work tirelessly to inspire people to do the things that inspire them. And if this is one of the things that I know will work, this is what I signed up for. The sacrifice is worth it. And I wasn't alone anymore. I now had somebody I could call and be like, I can't do this. And he's like, come on, I gotcha. And this is the thing that I learned about folks in the military, which is our friends give us advice like, you got this, yeah, you go. Which is basically like saying, off you go. In the military, it's things like, we go. Even though I have to do the work, we go. I had another experience in the military where I was standing on the stage presenting to a bunch of officers, senior officers, generals and colonels, and I was telling a story that was really difficult, and I started to well up, and I'm starting to tell myself, should I just skip over this? I could easily just, and I was stuck. I paused because when you're welling up, you know that if you take one more word, you're going to lose it, and I was right there. I was at that word, and I just stopped quietly. Now, if this was in the private sector, because I know, because it's happened for you too, somebody will say, it's okay, take your time. As if to say, you go over there, you take whatever, we'll be waiting over here when you're ready. That's not what happened. I get stuck on the stage. I'm welling up with tears, and the 4-star general at the back of the room goes, go on. As if to say, we're here with you, you're not alone. It cracks me up just talking about it now. And this is what I learned about them. The reason they are high achievers, the reason they have the kind of grit that they do, the reason they do things that most of us don't want to do or can't do, is because at no point do they ever make each other feel like they're alone. At every point along the way, they know that someone has their six, someone has their back. They will sacrifice their lives for people they don't even like because they know that that person will sacrifice their lives for them. And I think this is the missing thing that we don't talk about enough in all of this high achievement stuff and finding your purpose stuff. It's too hard to do alone. Human beings aren't made to survive by ourselves. You go out into the wilderness by yourself, you'll get eaten by something, you will die. Go out in a group, you're fine. We're fine. We are social animals. And we spend so much time over-indexing on individual accomplishment, individual achievement, and individual happiness, and individual fulfillment. We've just overdone it. That we've forgotten that the hack is together. Friendship is the ultimate biohack. And if you want to find happiness, instead of going on another retreat or reading another book, what I would recommend is help someone who's struggling with the thing that you're struggling with. Commit yourself to a life of service to help somebody who's struggling with the exact same thing you're struggling with. And instead of overcommitting yourself to whatever you're struggling with, overcommit yourself to helping them find whatever it is that you're also looking for, with no selfish intent whatsoever.